Yo, what's up, everybody? This is the Misguided Podcast. We're intend to guide you to a better future. My name is Juwan. I'm sitting here with Aniya Cheri, CEO and executive producer of Mountain Gaming. Good morning. How are you doing?
Hi, good morning.
How's life treating you today?
Life is good. Life is good. I'm living the dream.
Living the dream. Where are you currently located?
I am in Tampa, Florida. Well, Wesley Chapel is like a suburb of Tampa.
How's the weather out there right now?
It's nice, like maybe 70s.
That's good. That's good. Like, yeah, we had the rainstorm, right? 2 days ago, but yesterday we felt like spring, and then today it looks pretty good outside right now. So, yeah, I think spring might be coming a little early, which is good news, you know.
Yeah. I'm a Pisces, so like this is my season.
Yeah. You about to flourish. I like it. So typically I give the audience a little bit of a background of how I found you. So if I remember correctly, this was a while ago, but I found you on TikTok, and I saw a couple of videos, the For You page. Like if you like something or you kind of repost it, then you start seeing more of that person, right? I saw one of your videos about a game, like you creating a game, and I think it was like a promo video of your launch event. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like, I was at the time looking for more people to bring on the show. And so then I ended up following you on Instagram and then shot you a message for you to come up here. And then you responded, which I really enjoyed. So thank you for that.
Yay. Thank you. That's so cool. Like the power of social media.
Right? Yes, it's cool. Like you could just meet someone from across the world or country, I would say, and then like just end up being friends. It's like, it's amazing. So yeah, actually I met a lot of people. Like during COVID, I would do a lot of interviews like this, like Zoom interviews. But then I kind of switched gears a little bit. Now I do a lot of in-person stuff, just because it's a little bit more personal. But when there's like an opportunity like this, and it's like, all right, I don't know anybody who does gaming like in my, close proximity, right? So I was like, I can't miss this opportunity, right? So yeah, no, I appreciate you. Thank you for coming up. So let's go ahead and get into kind of your story. Where are you originally from?
I am from Chicago. I grew up in the south suburbs and on the south side of Chicago, but I went to school in like Manuka, so the middle of nowhere.
Where wait, so that's in the south. Where is it? Like a small town, or like how far is it like from the main city?
Like 45 minutes from Chicago, like the actual city of Chicago.
Okay, that's not too bad. That's not
No,
too
it's not. But like, yeah.
Do you miss
it? City. I don't like being in the middle of nowhere. So
yeah,
I'm always with family because I can't. Yeah.
Do you miss Chicago? You miss home?
I do. I miss home a lot. I miss the food and my family. But I don't miss the environment itself. I think I get a lot of like PTSD and anxiety being in the environment of Chicago. So like,
yeah. I can understand that for sure. What brought you to Florida or Tampa? Yeah.
My job, my full-time role, brought me and my husband here. We met here. So
okay. Nice. That's cute. So what do you do full time?
I am a test lead at an insurance company. So I work with developers and testers in creating new features for our applications.
Nice. That's what's up. How long you been doing that?
I've been with the company for about 7 years, but I've been doing this for about 2 years.
Oh yeah. Okay. You've been there for a while then. That's cool. That's cool. Well, tell me a little bit about, the reason I brought you up here is the game that you created. So Mountain Gaming, is that the kind of overall company, and then your games are going to be called something different?
Yep, that's correct. So Mountain Gaming is the company. Insubordinate Time Rebel is our video game. Right now we have the demo, the PC demo that we launched, which is really our prototype to show people what type of games we're trying to create. And so right now we're working on building the full console game for Insubordinate.
Okay. How long does a process like that typically take?
Well, with funding, with the money, it can take about 2.5 to 3 years. But we are self-funded, and we've been participating in like grant and pitch competitions. So it will probably take longer than 2.5 years.
Yeah.
We're building incrementally so that, but when we do engage our tech resources, we're engaging them like intentionally and meaningfully, and not like, you talked about the mistakes or the things that you learned. And that was one of the things that I learned, was that like time is money. And if I am not clear in what I'm asking my, technical developers to build, we're going to spend a lot of time like having to discuss those things, and I have to think on the spot. And sometimes, it can't be a spontaneous decision, especially with, the history and the psychology within the game design. So
Yeah. No, that makes sense. It makes sense. You got to be intentional with your stuff. And yeah, you're right. Time is money. You can't just be just throwing random thoughts in there, right? Like do this, and then you go back on it. And you're like, I didn't really want that. Now it's in a game. So,
yeah.
okay, that makes sense. So, how the hell did you even come up with the idea to start a game? Like, where does this? Is this like a shower thought? Like one of those crazy shower thought ideas? Where did this come from?
Really, it came from I was in a frustrated place, and I was like praying and talking to God with my frustrations about my family, like my cousins and my brothers not wanting to, they were ignoring me in the group chat, ignoring my research articles and my voice notes and my charts and stuff. They were like, you always got some scientific something, and we don't like, it's just this is.
Wait, you sending charts in the group chat is kind of wild, though. I'd be like, what the hell? That's funny.
Yes, that's me though. Like
Yeah.
I'm such a nerd. Like I love psychology and Black studies, and then especially when I feel like what I'm learning is relevant to this audience. Like we are Black young people. Like the stuff that I'm learning, one of my focuses was the psychological effects of prison, because my dad was incarcerated when I was a kid, and a lot of my family have experienced incarceration. And so as I'm learning what happens on a psychological level, like this is my area of focus in my studies. It's like, y'all didn't like look at what is out there. And so no matter how important the content was, it wasn't delivered in a way in which like the audience could receive it. And I was frustrated. So I was praying, and God was like, put it in a game. And I'm like, oh,
Put it in a game.
I don't know how to do that though. Like at this point, my background is in Black studies and psychology. Like
Yeah.
I could write a paper. What do you mean? But it's a game. Like
That's funny.
yeah.
All right, so all right, guys, like put it in a game. Obviously, you have no experience with like coding, game, anything, but you do have experience with the Black studies in psychology. Kind of want to talk about that real quick. So, where'd you go to college and study that, and what made you study that?
Yeah, so I went to UIC, which is University of Illinois at Chicago.
Okay.
And I got my bachelor's in psychology, minor in Black studies. I chose psychology because I was kind of a troubled youth, and I wanted to understand why I was how I was, and why, my parents were how they were, because it affected me. So it really came from like this questioning of like why. And I'm Black, so Black studies made sense. Like
Yeah.
I need to understand how I think and why I behave the way I do, and I need to understand myself as a Black person. And so that was what got me there. And yeah, it just, because it was from a personal place, me learning was personal, and it made me passionate about my studies.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I studied psychology as well, and I kind of can relate to, like, you're wanting to understand human behavior. Like, that's why I did it. It's just like, why do people do what they do, right?
Mhm.
And it's very interesting, like the things you learn when studying. But that's cool. How did you like your college, UIC?
I loved it.
That's
I,
amazing. Yeah.
I would see the skyline every day on my way to class. It was like, I felt like, just, I come from a city of greatness. Like, I have to be great. Like, I'm on to something. Like, it was motivational to be in the city environment while I was learning.
Yeah.
And then it was very different. Now I'm getting ready to graduate in May from USC, Southern California.
Nice.
And I'm getting my master's in design, business, and technology. And so that's been a totally different experience, contrasting experience than my undergraduate studies.
Are you doing that online?
Mm-hmm. It's virtual.
Damn.
And then we have some times we have to come in.
How long have you been doing that for?
4 years. Yeah, about 4 years. This is my 4th year.
Nice. That's what's up. Well, early congratulations, right? I mean, you still got a couple months, so don't fail out, but
One class left.
God, there you go. You got it. You got it. Okay, so you got the psychology, the Black studies, and then you get this message from God, like going to gaming. What is kind of your first step from there? Do you just start Googling, like, how do I do this? Like, what happens? That's a very taunting task, I'd say.
Mm-hmm. So it was really on time. Like, I had just started grad school, and it made my degree make sense. Like, I was getting ready to really embark on this journey of what to do next. But I had, the way our curriculum is built, it makes us solve real world problems, like come up with creative business digital solutions for real problems and pitch it. And it has to, make sense. So my studies in grad school, whatever class I was in, my focus was mountain gaming. So if I was in business essentials and we're learning business canvases and financial projections or finance for entrepreneurs, mountain gaming is my focus for my homework. So it was really a blessing that God had given me the idea of mountain gaming at the beginning of my studies, because it has been something that I've been able to build upon in school.
Okay, so how does the story of Insubordinate kind of tie into your Black studies, the history of Black people?
Yeah. So the all of our games are inspired by true stories, real people, true Black history. It's just what I found in my research was that people don't like, reading. Like, not that they don't like reading, but reading was probably the least engaging, like,
sure.
method to engage with Black history. Like, they rather watch a movie or go to the museum. So making sure that the historical accuracy is the foundation. And then as far as the psychology goes into it, people experience, based on our research, negative emotions when they engage with Black historical content. It's heavy. I've literally watched my mom cry just having certain conversations. And so it's a touchy subject. And whether it's for Black people or non-Black people, even like this, I'm very intentional with how I represent race in the game, because there can sometimes be a stereotype that's perpetuated, or this narrative that all white people are bad people, and that's not the case. Or, like, just and the psychology behind the game, making sure that it produces positive emotions, that it drives positive change. It's satisfying the need for autonomy when you are experiencing violence or oppression and you are restricted to what you can do with that. Like, if somebody hits you, you want to hit them back.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
But when you can't fight back, it's taking away your autonomy. And so the self-determination theory, the three basic psychological needs, autonomy is one of them. And if that need isn't being met, then it shows up in maybe how confident you are in yourself and your ability to do things, because that need isn't being met. So making sure that our game is grounded in historical accuracy and the game design and the gameplay mechanics take into consideration the psychological effects of what it is that they're doing. So like, you'll never be able to play this game and inflict violence upon Black people. Like, that will never happen. The gameplay coding will not allow it. You aren't going to see people who have been historically oppressed or hurt continue. Like, you'll see it in the storyline, but it's not going to be like, you can go play this game and get one off because you're a racist.
You're right. Yeah, it makes sense. Where do you find these real life stories?
So I find books of maybe their firsthand accounts or narratives from the Underground Railroad, different like databases and archives. So newspaper articles, some of them have been like Black Panther newspaper articles. So there's a lot of databases. If you are a student, I highly recommend it because it's expensive if you're not, to be able to get access to these databases to do research.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about the story of Charles in your demo that you have.
Yeah. So Charles is actually inspired. He is a fictional character, but he is inspired by one of my unhoused friends that I met during my studies at UIC. He actually passed away from cancer while he was living under a viaduct. And so Charles, as a character in the story, is a 20-something-year-old college student walking down the street and passes a viaduct where there's like homeless community and a tent set up, and he walks into this tent and it's the Insubordinate Time Rebel headquarters. The Insubordinate Time Rebels are like a modern day Black Panther party, and they created this time travel technology, and they're distributing their missions to go back in time and to like help people, to aid and protect Black people who are either trying to escape from slavery or experiencing violence and oppression from police. Any sort of violence is supposed to go back, and they have cases, and that the cases that they get are inspired by real people, those real stories. There are some fictional elements to it for the game, but the person and the overall narrative is based on.
What makes you want to go back in time rather than kind of focus on like the now? Like maybe you have like, or maybe you do, I don't know, please correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe like Charles is, instead of going back so far in time, right? I think it's like 1865, maybe he goes back to like 2019, right? And saves a couple instances with Black people. Or do you plan on doing that? Or
yeah
Okay, cool.
Great question. So yes, because it's time travel technology, we do not have to experience history linearly. When it came to how we entered the market, the Underground Railroad, that's a piece of history that most people can, recognize, identify with, they know about it. So it was our entry point, but that's just like level one. There's 3 more levels, and I can't go into too much detail, but one of them is like a more current era.
Okay. Cool. That's good. You don't have to spill the beans too much. Okay. So that's cool. That's really, I like the idea of like the time travel. I like the story, the plot, right? Because it's relatable, which is easy for people to play. I still want to know though, like the actual creating a game. What is the process in that? Because it's like, do you go hire someone to start coding this for you? How do you even find such a person like that? Yeah, how'd you kind of get the actual game into demo mode? And is it fully out? Like the full game is out? It's just demo right now?
Just a demo.
How do you do that?
Yeah. So I would say first, like knowing what the game content will be. Like for me, it was an iterative process. It was like, what is the cheapest way I can get a game in people's hands?
Yeah.
And at first it was a board game. And then I was like, no, like board games are hard and like it's like too much. I didn't like it. And the people didn't like it. I kept testing. So my family are my guinea pigs. I'm like, hey, do you like this? And they're like,
Yeah.
Being able to like, test the content. And eventually it was like, I knew what the game was going to be about. I knew the narrative. I had put together kind of mood boards on what the characters would look like, what the environment would look like. There's something called a game design document. So a lot of this, I self-taught myself a lot. Like you could learn a lot from Google and
for sure.
YouTube and the internet. So a game design document, and it has the different, components of what they would need to build a game. So it's like, who's your villain? Who's your protagonist? What do you want it to be like? Is it an arcade game? Is it a racing game? So
there's like a website you can it's like a template and you just enter what you want, the story, and then it kind of creates it for you?
No, you can look at templates of completed game design documents.
Gotcha.
And like put one together. So that's kind of what I did. And yeah, from there it was like, what did I do? I made like kind of like a makeshift voiceover trailer thing. It was so like crazy to think about it, but like to see if people because if people don't like the concept of something, you should not pour your money into it. Like before you start spending money, know that people want this. So I put that out there. I got positive engagement, and from there I went on to Upwork and I found a studio. So we do in Mountain Gaming, we do the pre-production design work, and then we bring in an external game development studio to do the coding, animations, and that part. So once we brought in the external game development studio, they did the coding in about, I would say 3.5 months.
That's not bad.
4 months. No, it wasn't bad. They did the cutscenes for our trailer, and my cousin is a rapper, and I'm like, the game developers are like, what song? Like, is there a song? What's the background? Like, they sent me some old town country. I don't even know.
I was gonna ask who did the song because I just watched the demo. So that's your cousin?
Yes, it's my cousin. Tsunami. He is he's like my big brother. He's like my big brother. So they sent me something. I'm like, I can't. That's not. This game means too much for it to just be like a random whatever. So I taught myself how to produce beats like that night.
That's funny.
And I made the beat and I sent it to my cousin. I sent him a couple of beats, and then
I just can't imagine you in like 2 hours learning how to like make beats, and they'd be like, "Here, cuzzo, check this out," and he like, "Oh, this fire!"
Yes, that's exactly what happened. I'm like, okay, bet. Like, what I need to do tonight. I'm gonna send you some beats and you tell me what you think.
Yeah.
So I was like researching sounds, like what are common sounds, like what did the songs sound like during that period? Like what was the, what instruments were used, so I can make sure those are kind of in there somewhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, my cousin, he trusted and believed in me, and I produced my first song.
I love it. So so you got the game demo. How much does stuff like this cost?
Oof. So to date, I've spent, I would say, about 27,000.
27,000. And does that include marketing too? Or like, yeah. What kind of marketing have you done so far?
We'll go into different events,
Okay.
Handing out flyers, really just being out in the public, talking to people, handing out flyers, keychains, our different promo materials. Really just events. And
have you gone to like HBCUs and kind of pitched it there?
That's a great question. Not yet, but this week I have been invited to be a guest lecturer at Morgan State.
Ooh, balling. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Wait, so you're going into like a class or like a event that they're gonna have for everyone to come in?
It's gonna be a class.
Nice. That's what's up. What class is it? Do you know?
It's esports. So some of esports.
I don't know what the hell that is. I'll be there though.
But I know it has to do with esports, so gaming.
Yeah, that's what's up. That's congratulations on that. That's a big move right there. Okay, so we got 27,000 in expenses. What's kind of, I see that you were looking for fundraising and stuff like that. What's kind of your goal target, and how much do you need to kind of put the game into out of demo mode into a full version?
Yeah, so our ask, or what we're trying to raise for a total amount, is 2.7 million. Now, because we're building incrementally, where as we fundraise, we can build smaller pieces of the game. So it can be this year we're looking to develop our characters, like 5 new characters that are part of level 1, and our environment design. So putting together some of the designs for what the scene should look like in the storyboarding.
Nice. Okay. And then like, I guess, how many games do you see yourself kind of having under Mountain Gaming?
A lot. I think that there's an opportunity to really be able to use gaming as a tool to teach. And so I would say at minimum like 7 within the Subordinate Time Rebel series. So Mountain Gaming as a company, like, we want to be able to like be for everyone in the household. I'm aware of like the background gamers or the kids. So being able to extract the different educational components from our games and create them into age-appropriate products. So while this Insubordinate Time Rebel series will have its own lifespan, we do plan to bring to life these stories in a way that is appropriate for kids. I'm the oldest of 7, and like I'm everybody's TT, godmama, big sister. So I want to be able to like the kids.
Yeah. Do you feel like the pressure is always on you being the oldest?
Yes.
Yeah. It's stressful, huh? Yeah.
It's stressful, I think, in all of the best ways. Like, it definitely pushes me to be a better person. It
Okay.
motivates me and encourages me because, like, the eyes that are looking up to me, like, to see myself in these kids and to hear them, be like me or sound like me or want to be like me. It doesn't make me stressed. It just makes me like be the role model that I would want them to
Most
have.
definitely. Do you ever think that like being the oldest, I'm also the oldest, being the oldest kind of like makes you have less of a childhood?
Oh, absolutely.
Because okay, yeah, because you have to become that second parent, especially if you're in a single household, right? And I remember you said your dad was in prison. I'm not sure for how long, but I would imagine for some of that time you kind of had to step up and be, you know, the second mommy, right? Like, yeah. So that kind of you don't start to think about these things until you like get older and like how much it could affect you, right? The psychological, and that's interesting that in the beginning of this podcast you said you got into it to really understand your family dynamic, why you are like you are, why your mom is and why your dad is, right? And so that's interesting. Yeah, I love psychology too, so I love like the aspects. But okay, I want to take a short break and cut to a segment that's called Hella Misguided segment, where I ask the same question to each entrepreneur that comes up on this show. And that question is, are you ready?
Yes.
That was the softest yes, yes. What would you, if you were to write a letter to your 18-year-old self, what would a summary of that letter be?
Oof. To my 18-year-old self. The seed is already in you. Like, the seed is already in you, and God will water that seed and you will experience the growing pains of growing beyond the seed that you're in. And it's okay to embrace the discomfort. It's okay to not know, and to learn as you go. But the seed is already in you, and enjoy the journey. It doesn't Hindsight is 2020. A lot of times we don't understand why we're going through what we're going through until we get on the other side of it. But just to remain encouraged and like knowing that God has concerned himself with every detail of everything, and like nothing will go in vain. It will all work itself out when it's supposed to work itself out, how it's supposed to work itself out. But yeah, like, don't lean into your own understanding or feel limited by your resources. Like, people have limitations, but God is limitless. So you are not restricted to, what you have at your disposal or your family resources. There was a what's it called? What is she, like an advisor, a college advisor? The quote that she told me really changed my perspective on life. And it was, you are the thinker that thinks a thought and makes it a thing. So like, whatever thing you've thought of, it can be a thing. It can really be a thing, even if you don't see how it can be.
Even if you don't see it. Got it. So just like go through the motions. Don't be afraid to take that step.
Mm-hmm.
That's facts. I like that. I like that quote from her. Okay. That's a good one. I feel like a lot of people, especially in business, get stuck in that like that thinking stage too, right? That like, oh, I'm gonna start a game, and then I'm gonna start a game 2 years later. Hey, family, I'm gonna start a game. It's like, did you start it yet? Like, you have to go through that process of actually doing it to figure out kind of what you like, right? What the game needs, what the culture needs, most importantly, and then your needs, right? Because your needs can change throughout the process. I feel like entrepreneurship is such a highs and lows, right? And I know you have also a full-time job, so it's kind of hard to balance, right? Like trying to like, how do you go from full-time job to entrepreneur to wife, right? To TT, everybody TT, right? To like just mental freeness, like focusing on yourself, right? It's like it's a balance, and I feel like I'm always struggling to balance work life, and I feel like it's never ending. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So what were some of the mistakes in the beginning that you made in the gaming? Like, did you hire the wrong person and they scammed you out of some money or some crazy shit like that?
No. What would I say were my mistakes? I think my mistake was my ego. My ego was my mistake. At times because I was a team of one, like, so it's very easy to be I, what can I do? What am I doing? And so, I got so caught up in trying to do everything on my own and do everything myself that I forgot that this was God's idea. Like, it was too much of me and not enough of me being humble and honest with myself about what my capacity was, and in me being recognizing that my ego was in the way and seeing where I was lacking, whatever I could then, have, like, the pressure was off of me, like pressure was off of me at that point. So I definitely think ego was one of my mistakes in the beginning. Yeah.
Okay. And how would you say you've kind of corrected that? Like, are you just more open to hearing other people? Like, do you have a team bigger than yourself now?
Yes, I do have a team bigger than myself. So I guess it's not the feedback that I struggled with. It was that I couldn't make the game in a week. Like, I had the idea, and I was like, all right, like I got Epic Games. I went and got me a computer. I was like, I watched the YouTube videos. Like, I could do this. Like, I could do this. It is not that easy.
No.
It is not that easy. And so I was pulling all, like you said, I work a full-time job. For me to pull an all-nighter and work a full-time job is crazy.
Yeah.
And so I was neglecting my own health, trying to build this great idea that I know will be big and can be big, but I'm trying to do it within my own self and my own resources. So what I learned from that was to embrace the pace of my journey. Like, I might not have all the resources or all the money today, but what can I do? What's within my skill set, within my toolbox that I can do to make this be a thing while I work on getting the funds to do it, and not feel like just because I can't build Rome in one day that I shouldn't start building the corner over here. Like, it's not going to happen.
Brick by brick.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say were some of the mistakes that you kind of had being an oldest child?
Well, because I was the oldest and I had to be a second parent, it weighed very heavily on my mental health, and I ended up crashing. Like, it was a moment where I had kind of like dropped out of school. Well, I told my mom, like, I'm not going back. You either let me be homeschooled or I'm gonna have to get a GED, but I ain't going back. So
was that high school?
High school. Yeah, high school. And I was making all the wrong decisions. Like, I was running with all the wrong crowds and not doing nothing. I didn't have teachers. I didn't have due dates. I was running the streets.
Due dates.
Rest stuff with my friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that was probably like as the oldest sibling, those were my mistakes, and it was really me having to fall, like crashing my car and having to go back home and um like having a moment where I really connected with God and realized that I was in my own way. And I mean, as like looking at it in the moment, it was a mistake in that like I wasn't trying to be a bad kid or, juvenile delinquent. I eventually went back to high school, but I had to go to like alternative school, and technically like they're like that's where the bad kids go. Like so I learned from that experience. I think it helped me to be a better older sibling because I'm not telling you not to do this because I'm scared or
like,
I'm
I went through this. Yeah. Now that makes sense. So you learned from crashing, like that's kind of the same in business as well, right? Like you're constantly fucking up, right? And you're constantly learning, and it's like you can be the smartest person, but you're gonna mess up. And I think it's important for business owners to remind ourselves of that. Like you have a real life situation outside of business. Like you have a family situation that you went through and you crashed, right? And then you're like, I need to stop digging a deeper hole. For business owners, it's important to remind ourselves when we do find ourselves like going in that downward spiral to kind of like, hey, once we hit the ground, we're going to bounce back up, right? We could hit the ground and stay there, right? And be dead, or we could jump right back up and propel ourselves into another kind of phase in our life. So I think like because business owners are so far into the tunnel vision, hey, I need to create this game in 1 week, which is impossible. But like because we're so far into the tunnel vision, we kind of forget that. And that's like typically why I like to talk about the mistakes is because, man, like business is hard, right? Like I said in the beginning, anybody could just sit up here and have a 60-second quick TikTok video showing you like how business can be great and how much money you can make. When in reality, it's like you don't make money for a long time. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so, and you struggle a lot, but yeah, no, I appreciate that that openness and transparency.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You're welcome.
So we're gonna go ahead and start wrapping up. Typically, how I like to wrap up is with a segment called Guided Conclusions. It's where I ask you a question that we didn't talk about prior to hitting record. And that question could be funny, it could be sad, it could be anything. Are you ready?
Yes.
Would you rather live in the same state forever or a different state each year? Like every year you have to move.
The same state forever.
And why is that?
Because I can travel. I don't have to live everywhere in the world. I can live home, can be home, but I like
maybe I should have added that in the little thing, said no travel.
You say that.
I did it. Too late. All right. No, I feel it. But do you travel a lot now?
I do, yeah.
Where are some of your favorite places to travel to?
I'm always back and forth between here and LA. Then Atlanta, Chicago. All of Florida, LA, Chicago, Atlanta.
Yeah, nice. The big hubs. Well, go ahead and let everyone know where they can find you, follow you, and find the game.
Yes, you can find me at Aniya.Cheri on pretty much TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Mountaingaming.org is where you can find the game demo. We try to release like sneak peeks, so make sure you subscribe to the emails. And yeah, we are going to start sharing more about our like behind the scenes development process. So if you have any questions, definitely let us know so we can cover them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you guys heard it here. This is the Misguided Podcast. We intend to guide you to a better future. My name's Juwan, sitting here with Aniya. Make sure you go like and subscribe this video for us and follow. I appreciate your time today, and we'll see you on the other side.
Thank you.